Ladies and gentlemen, something truly insane that no one saw coming could potentially happen to the Las Vegas Raiders.
And after beating the Chiefs, Las Vegas still has a chance at the division title and a wild card berth.
And it's causing some star players on the Chiefs to totally lose it.
Usually, in the prime, before he was a Swifties, it took two of them. Now it's only taking one dude to kind of eliminate Travis Kelce.
This is Kelce after the fake punt. Right around that time, he threw his helmet on the sideline.
Travis Kelce was a sore loser.
It's a frustrating experience right now. We handed that team a win on Christmas. We literally played Santa and gave them a present.
He said they gave us that game. Tell them to go watch that game.
But Mr. Pfizer has always been this way.
People care about this game like it is their Super Bowl. How they acted by doing two laps around the stadium when they won it.
You can say it, but you can say it.
Kelce should give the Raiders more credit. They could have beat the Chiefs in 2022 under Josh McDaniels. If only this catch by Davante Adams was ruled complete, they would have been able to kick the game-winning field goal.
Yeah, I don't want to comment too much on the officiating, but that was, the ball didn't move. And they showed it 100 times on the screen, but I thought it was a catch, but they looked at it and obviously didn't feel that way. So
even former Chiefs wide receiver Tyreek Hill knows that the Chiefs' recent Super Bowl victory against the Eagles is fraudulent.
They got saved like that last year for real though, and the Eagles in the Super Bowl for real though. If we been for real, then they come back and get saved in the Jets game.
Patrick Mahomes has always been complimentary towards the refs because he's been on the receiving end of shady calls, especially in the Jets game this past year.
I mean, at the end of the day, you get your hands around the guy's neck at like 15 yards downfield, they're going to call it something. If it's going to be holding or illegal contact, it's just not allowed. So I was trying to, once I saw him grab him, I threw it up there to give Marquez a chance, kind of knowing that the flag was going to come. So you could see it. You could see it from my position, and I understand people want to let teams play and stuff like that, but you can't get your hands around guys' necks like that.
But when he gets the bad calls, he completely breaks down. He cannot handle it. He even flipped out to Josh Allen. Sore loser, couldn't even compliment the quarterback after he took the L.
Loudest call I've ever seen, man. Offensive offsides in that moment, man. Terrible. Not only for me, but just for football in general. Just to take away greatness like that. I know as fans, you want to see the guys on the field decide the game.
And I understand people want to let teams play and stuff like that, but you can't get your hands around guys' necks like that.
It's not even for myself or for me. It's just to happen on a flag change the outcome of a game in that moment.
So Patrick Mahomes was on his best behavior against criticizing the officials. Keep in mind, him and Andy Reid were fined a ton of money for some of their lip this year. But against the Raiders on Christmas Day, Patrick Mahomes had hands down his worst performance of his entire career. The guy was in shambles, completely flipping out. Not only was he losing his mind, but Travis Kelce looked like he was gonna pop a blood vessel. He was throwing tantrums on the sideline. Even fat-ass Andy Reid had to shoulder check his guy. Of course, Kelce was still hungover on his podcast when he could not even give the Raiders credit for that victory. He claims that they just handed them and gifted the Raiders the victory.
They're good defense. Just can't catch a rhythm, and it's not just the Raiders. It's been a lot of teams that we've played. We handed that team a win on Christmas. We literally played Santa and gave them a present.
Good thing that Jack Jones, the man who got a pick six against Patrick Mahomes this past game, well, he was able to check Kelce.
He said they gave us that game. Tell them to go watch that game. We took that game. Yeah, we own that.
But why are the Chiefs flipping out on the field? Why are the Chiefs absolutely losing their mind right now? It's because what's going on in the background, which is the fact that there's a real possibility that they could lose the division to the Las Vegas Raiders this year. The Raiders already kicked them out of the top AFC seed. The Raiders just have to win their next two games against the Indianapolis Colts and the Denver Broncos, who recently benched Russell Wilson. If the Chiefs lose their next two games against a good Bengals team and good backup QB Jake Browning, and then against a Chargers team with an interim head coach, Raiders fans are going to have to end up rooting for whoever the hell this guy is. So if the Raiders win out and the Chiefs lose out these next 2 weeks, the Raiders win the mother effing division against the Kansas City Chiefs. However, that's a slim chance, but there are many other possibilities where the Raiders could make the wild card. All right, here are all the wild card scenarios in which the Raiders can make the playoffs. The Chiefs win the division if they get one victory, so let's just assume that. The Raiders could only make the wild card if they win out, so they have to win these next two games. They also need to hope for some losses. They need at least two of these 6 teams to go 9-8 or worse. The teams are the Bills, the Jags, the Texans, the Colts, the Bengals, and the Steelers. All of these teams have an 8-7 record besides the Bills, who have a 9-6 record, and the Raiders just need 2 of these teams to go 9-8. This would allow them to clinch the wild card unless only the Steelers are one of these 9-8 teams, because the Steelers have the tiebreaker against the Raiders, so that would knock the Raiders out. Before I tell you right now who you need to root for to lose this week if you're a Raiders fan, I'm going to explain the only way the Raiders can get screwed over if they win out. So if the Raiders win out and go 9-8, they could run into tiebreaker trouble if they have the same record as the Jags or the Steelers. They can also be screwed if the Bengals win out and tie them, and also the Chiefs beat the Chargers. Those 2 things have to happen at the same time. The Bills are at 9-6 and they're playing the Patriots and the Dolphins these next 2 weeks. I'm going to cross any scenario with them off because I think they're going to win at least 1 game. And I want to stick to what's actually going to happen. Us Raiders fans need to root against the Steelers hardcore these next 2 weeks. The Steelers play the Seahawks this week and then finish it off against the Baltimore Ravens. You also gotta root against the Houston Texans. They're playing the Tennessee Titans this week, and then they follow it up against the Indianapolis Colts. The Jags. The Raiders gotta hope the Jags lose one of these next 2 games, especially the AFC game in Week 18 against the Tennessee Titans, but they're playing the Panthers this week on New Year's Eve. If the Bengals fall to the Chiefs this week, you also gotta root against them as well against the Browns the following week. So forget about the Bills because they're going to win at least one of these games, but root hardcore against the Steelers, Bengals, Texans, and Jags these following 2 weeks. Hopefully the Raiders just win out and the Chiefs lose out so they could win the division. But other than that, hope at least 2 of these teams go 9-8, the Bills, the Jags, the Texans, the Colts, and the Bengals and the Steelers. Let me know in the comments below if the Raiders are going to make history again with an interim head coach and make the playoffs this year. My name is Wi-Fi Willie. Subscribe to this channel for more NFL content from me. Peace out, and I hope you have a good one.